Hello. What are we gonna do today? Big week, big holiday weekend. Alright. So when we left off last time, my last few changes were related to nested preloading. Yeah, that's right. And I was just writing a big example at the end. Maybe it's worth it to check out main, 'cause I think this did the cool stuff. Yeah. So when I left off last time, building this database layer for J, I was playing with the notion up here of loading a user with like a bunch of other stuff. So we're going to grab a user, and with that user we're going to grab to-dos and taggings, and then, right, so from the user we grab to-dos, from the to-dos we grab their taggings, from the taggings we grab the tag, from the tag we grab the user. So it's this deeply nested thing. We grab the to-dos and their taggings, and then we also grab the tags created by each user. That was it. And then it was in printing this stuff out down here that I spotted all that stuff works, which is really encouraging. You can get like a user, their to-dos, the taggings on those to-dos, the users that created those taggings. That's cool. The users don't necessarily have to line up. And then separately, you can also get the tags created just by that user. Great. But it was here that we spotted, or that I spotted, that we're not respecting inverses set in all these cases. And setting the inverses would be tricky. And testing for that would be very cumbersome. So yeah, don't know exactly how to handle that. And then I thought through, right, nested preloads with inverses is a thing. Through relationships is something maybe we could work on. What else are my to-do list things here? SQL OR. Oh yeah, that's like a neat refactor. Maybe I'll pull that up to the top. That seems like a good thing to like get the juices flowing. Yeah, mutations seem like they're coming up soon. This is one that I was thinking about earlier. Ooh, that would be fun. That would be fun. Okay. So I think the first thing I want to do today, from looking at this list, is upgrade J version. Seems like a good step one. And then we'll see. Alright, so I'm getting my email in the other tab. I got a new compiler beta email yesterday. Maybe it was on Sunday. I'm gonna grab it, I'm gonna download it. I'm gonna try hard not to show my whole email to the stream. Still downloading. Still downloading. Alright, we got it. Open it up. And then where did I throw these J versions? Yeah, okay, cool. I have a convention. I call it j.version number. Do that. And then here I can, yes, move that there. Alright, and then the one thing that I do is I have j.69, and I wanna, man, I always forget. It goes ln source link name. Okay, and now if I over here on like J Linux version. Oh, that's wrong. I'm gonna have to restart this. What? Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. I want an ln-s. Okay, let me like remove j ln-s. Cool. Now, oh man, I did a lot way too tiny for anyone to read, huh? Alright, let's start one more time. Now if I do this, cool. We're on the latest. And if I try to build, does it break? No, it still works. Cool, that's reassuring. I often feel like I'm using this language in such a weird way that every minor release is going to break my stuff. But not this one. Alright, cool. I think one thing I've been thinking about a lot is like memory management. And I wonder if this is updated. I don't know. Is this one? Does it include version 69? Yeah. Okay, cool. This is already in the latest. Memory debugger here. Okay, cool. I'm gonna grab this and do that wherever I import basic, which I think is in main. Okay, and now I bet if I run this, like the whole world is gonna crumble. And it's gonna tell me a lot of problems with my memory debugging. Oh. Nope, I guess it doesn't do that by default. How do I... report memory leaks. Okay, cool. And if I just throw this down at the end of main, I bet we'll find plenty of memory leaks. Ooh! That's interesting. Composed preloader spec. Online 6. Inside execute. That's pretty important stuff. Modular JLine 33. Here. Inside pool. Line 60. Oh. Is that not how that's supposed to work? How's pool supposed to work? Pool, set allocators, pool. What else do we do with pool? Push allocator. Oh, that's neat. Oh, you don't have to like release the pool? It's just in the stack, so we're fine? Alright, well, get that out of there then. Okay, that worked. And now if I JRecord leak. Yeah. Look at all these leaks. It's the biggest one. Okay, this is so many leaks. This is an uncomfortable number of leaks. It's a lot of bytes. 200K? 4 times? Basic module 57. Pool, simple string, Postgres 73. Here. Wow. Allocating that C string? In send query lines after that is 200K across 4 allocations? Must be sending a lot of SQL over the wire. What am I sending over the wire? What am I putting in here? Okay, this shit cleared. Alright, run it, scroll back up to the top, and see... You know, maybe it's less that there's a single query that's massive, and more like all these added up. But even like 200k divided, like is one of these 50k? I don't know. I don't know how to read this, but fixed memory leaks is totally a thing that I should be worried about more than I am. Anyway, I don't think I actually want to worry about this right now, but I do like the idea of running, especially the specs with memory debugger true. So maybe in like build? Yeah, right? What was it? Okay. Does this help? Oh, cool. Don't know that. Oh, yeah. Gotta get rid of report memory leaks here. And then I think there was like something else that I wanted to change slightly. Oh, yeah. I was gonna get rid of that print statement. Okay. Now building. Nothing leaky reported. Running. Nothing leaky reported. I think I probably want this in both spots, though. Oops. Like, I don't want to report memory leaks every single time, but it feels like a pretty good idea to, yeah. For all the stuff that I'm doing, I want to make sure I'm not, like, introducing, like, corruption in the memory. Okay, this feels great. Seems like a conservative, safe choice for the workspace. Okay. Cool. Upgrade J version. Upgrade J version. Enable memory debugger. Fix a memory issue. Alright. We did it. This seems like a good one still to get the ball rolling. So, okay, the point of this is that there are situations that initially came up in specs, but it seemed like they'll come up a lot. Oh no, I think they came up in preloading too, where we need in here we need to do this. Yeah, that was quick. So yeah, okay, when we're fetching a preloaded relationship, like in this case a belongs to, but it happens in like all our cases, it's like important that we be able to express a syntax like this, where we can say that like statically we've got no idea how many destination IDs they're going to be, but we have like some list of them, and we need to be able to say like that, right, when we're looking at belongs to, that means that like the source record, like concretely in our case we have to-dos, have a belongs to on user, and what that means is that the to-do table has a user ID, and we need to be able to accumulate all of the user IDs from some set of source records that we're decorating with this stuff. And we need to be able to group up the user ID from each one, add it to some list, and then sneak it into a scope like this to grab all the users with those IDs. So it's important that we be able to have like list parameters into SQL, and Postgres just doesn't have syntax for that in like pqlib or libpq, or at least if it does have syntax for that, I couldn't find it. So what I did is that in like SQL, it's like SQL execute, isn't it, for some reason? So here we do some work where it's like Postgres also wants these to be like a $1 or something. It doesn't want question marks for these prepared parameters that it escapes for you. So here I like traverse to find all the question marks, and I inspect the arg. This is statically. Oh no, this is not statically. I like inspect the arg, and if it's an array, dynamically I then build up the string with like multiple parameters in it, and ship it off to. This gets passed into like execute later on. And it just doesn't like really sit with me well. Like this feels like the ability to serialize a list of arguments into an array. Well, first of all, the fact that these have to be like index $1, $2, $3 feels real implementation detail-y for Postgres. It's like this preparation step feels very like an odd choice to me to begin with. And then more so the fact that there's no like way to embed like a list param into this feels very Postgres specific as well. So I was thinking I could move this into the Postgres module so that here we'll be passing in, like we'll call this in Postgres land, which means that like when we get this execute command, we'll know that like we're gonna have to do the string interpolation in here to replace question marks with indexed numeric $ figures. Yeah, that sounds about right. Is that a bad idea? It is. It sure does sound like a lot of work for very little payoff. That, maybe it's not really. May get the ball rolling, but it's probably not worth it. Okay, so that's like one idea that we might do. Another idea we might do is how can we make specs verify actually run last? I was thinking about that too. So we have this whole like spec code base, right? Like this is where we reported like a memory leak actually in just like minutes ago. And it's cool. Like I like it. I'm happy that we run all these tests. But they think. Is it here? Yeah. So the spec builder intentionally does this thing where it adds all the build files to the specs workspace, and then at the end of adding all those files, it adds like a last string that says, okay, now like verify yourself. And like that seems wrong. It seems like it's not actually doing the right thing. And I worried about this from the start because I know that like the one of the features of this language is that like top level declarations are run as they are type checkable, and they're not run strictly in the order that they're declared. So that this run specs verify, like it's very likely that specs verify has all its dependencies met like immediately. So it can just like run, it's okay, and that that's not true of everything else. But that's really quite the bummer. So one idea that I had of how to fix this is like, okay, it means like another whole workspace. But it means like, so what am I thinking is like an order more flexibly. So what we currently have is like workspace 1 just like loads environment business, and like workspace 2 is like run directives to the CLI. Workspace 3 is like the actual workspace, the metaprogram builds. Workspace 4 is like specs workspace. Currently like hosts and runs, hosts the specs, loads them, runs them, has no output. And I feel like what I want is maybe to like split up workspace 4. I don't know exactly what I want to do. Like maybe what I want to say is like, all right, so we like create this workspace here, we shove some stuff into it, and maybe what I want is like workspace 4 is now like the spec generator workspace. Like I feel like there's so the reason that we broke out this separate specs workspace is that we don't really want to load all of our spec code into our production binary all the time. And then it's like nice to have like very intentional separation there, where we have like two separate, entirely separate workspaces, one which loads all the spec code and one which like never even names those symbols. That feels like a nice, like sort of soundness guarantee. That like there's no way that you might accidentally load spec code in production and like unknowingly ship production builds with like, I don't know, test like shims that replace like actual APIs with like fixtures or something. But like that's just impossible if your spec code is in a folder that only gets loaded as part of this like separate workspace entirely, and like the actual production code has no knowledge of it. That seems valuable. So I think I like that. But what I'm thinking is like maybe we have this like spec generator workspace, which like effectively generates like the text of spec program and like writes it to a new workspace. And like workspace 5 is like spec runner workspace. Runs the specs. And then so what that means is like currently we have this like spec run, which like traverses over all the files, adds them all to the spec workspace, and then like runs them all. And separately we have this like base, which has notion of like describe and a nested describe and an it. And it also, which these are all sort of like statically consumed to like describe the structure of our expectations about the code that we're like, you know, testing. And then separately, we have these like matchers. We have like to equal, to be present, to be empty, to contain exactly, expect, and then these like matches implementations. And like these are like dynamically as part of the test code, like while you're running each test, like these get evaluated. And I think like maybe, and the way this all works now is like when we encounter a describe, we just like insert that code into workspace 4, run it immediately, verify expectations. And then here I'm maybe thinking when we encounter, maybe I'll say this like an it, describe or an it. And then here maybe say when we encounter a describe or an it, we insert that code into workspace 5. When we're done with workspace 5. When we're done, and I just think the problem is like, how do we know when we're done? And I think that what we say then is like workspace 5 has a main, has like some kind of a main, which runs, yeah, okay. So I'm thinking workspace 5 has a main. Workspace 5 has at least two methods, right? So workspace 5 has has like a verify procedure, which we build dynamically. Workspace 5 has a run procedure, which we just our main, right? Which like just calls main, which just calls verify. And then like each describe or it, like each it really defines a new like spec method or embeds code into verify or something. What do I think about this? I just feel like I'm introducing more and more problems. Let's like try this. This seems fine. So one thing I'm worried about is that if we, well, this certainly also seems like a ton of work, right? And then, like, do we have workspace 4? So then we have this workspace 5, which is like built, and when it's like done, I think we maintain the same problem that we have with like verify specs in here. Like, it's hard to say like at the end do something, and I think that remains the case here, where like I think we would need to like wait for compilation to finish on workspace 5 and then like run the resulting binary from workspace 4 and like make sure that we get the right like return status. Which is a real bummer. On the other hand, I don't know, it would at least like decouple some of this where like, what's an upside that I can imagine here? Yeah, I mean, we might be able to like, well, we'd actually be running specs at some, not like in the bytecode level, but in the actual generated compiled code level, which makes it closer to the production environment probably. We'd be running our specs conditionally maybe, right? Like you could like, we'd end up emitting two binaries, like the spec binary and the main like production binary. And you could then like choose, like, do you want to even run the spec binary or not? Instead of that decision being made at the like metaprogram like hard-coded level. All right, this is like something that we could do. I bet that there are other ways too. Okay, so like upsides or like downside. Like then what? We run the like emitted like spec binary from the metaprogram. Seems rough. Okay, but like upsides, like spec code is isn't run as bytecode, but as compiled binary, much more like production code, and then also like we can probably take it easier with it probably makes it like I bet so like before each hooks are hard in the current setup because it's like hard to guarantee, it's hard to tell the compiler that the data passed into a before each is actually constant. But like if we're emitting code into a separate workspace, like that's like a non-issue. Right, because it means that like workspace 4 is guaranteed to be run statically and the workspace 5 just like receives its stuff. And like workspace 5, like the problem here is that workspace 4 is sort of bootstrapping and inserting code into itself, which makes it very hard to guarantee constant static availability of stuff. But if workspace 4 and workspace 5 are just like entirely separate, who cares? It's easy. You know, workspace 4 is itself completely constant from the perspective of workspace 5 where we've injected the code. Alright. And what's the other thing I'm thinking about? Database mutations. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll like open up a, this feels like a separate, it wants to be like a separate notes doc, doesn't it? How do I pop this out in a separate window? I thought that was like a feature of this tool. Give me a new window. No? Okay. What I'm gonna do is open up some notes on my other monitor. and doc meeting. Oops. Code that. Alright, and then I want to create a new one. And what did I call previous notes about this? JRecord. Ideas. 0706. Okay, I'm gonna cut this all out, paste it into my ideas doc. Close others. Great, okay. So, alright, how to run specs in order more flexibly. There was that. There was like this idea. Move this into Postgres module. Upside. Like meh, seems like a lot of work. Okay, and then the last bit I was thinking of was mutations. And I think this is probably what I want to do. This seems like the most important thing to do next. Because it got me thinking, like, now that we have all these loaded things, I've got myself wondering, like, how to proceed here. So, like, as a concrete example, let's say, like in like Rails, one of my like favorite things to do is to be able to say like user gets user.new. Let's say like email somebody. And then we can do like user dot to-dos dot build, like, I don't know, right? So let's say that this is like an onboarding experience, and this is like for like the absolute new user sign up stuff. You could say like this, like build, like learn, complete a to-do, right? And then we could do like this, like to-do.taggings.build. We could do like generated tag gets like tag.find by. I think maybe we just like hard code know that like there's like some like orientation tag or something like that. Like this is just like built-in database data. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So like to do dot like taggings dot create or dot build tag generated tag, and then we can like user dot save. And then what this results in is like a insert into users values email like I got that wrong. And then it goes insert into to-dos, description, user ID. I think, well, first there's like a transaction, right? Like begin, insert into to-dos, it'll insert into taggings, to-do ID, tag ID for those two, and like commit. And like all of these things are triggered off from the save, and also it'll do, it'll like evaluate a whole bunch of hooks that are super useful for you, like user, like it'll do, like for each of these records, it'll trigger like before validation, it'll do like valid, it'll do like after validation, it'll like before create, and before save, and like an around create. And then it'll do like a before commit. Maybe that goes like here? I don't know. Like an after commit, after save, after create. Like it like triggers like all this like really useful behavior. Actually, I think that these come like here. And maybe this goes like here. I can't exactly remember, but it goes something like this. And like you can sneak in like behavior to all these spots. And this is just the insert case, right? Like if instead we were doing like a user find. So we like find this user, and then like user dot like email gets like some other email. Right, and then like we could still like build a to-do, and then like it's gonna like update users. Set email equals something, where ID equals something, and I think it'll just update like the dirty attributes even, like it won't mess with all of them. Which is clever. And which like might be bad news for the way that I've hoped that I can make everything be super static in SQL. And like I wonder if this is actually a problem, right? Because I think that like being able to set arbitrarily many columns and knowing that at compile time is much less valuable than being able to sort of like query by arbitrary like joins and froms and selects and stuff. Anyway, okay. Both all this, right, if you like edit the user and then, right, like still do this, right, it's still going to do these inserts and updates. It's going to do it all together. It'll have some notion of like dirty tracking. It's just tough, you know? There's a lot. Okay, so then maybe we can like talk about like Ecto, which is what, like Elixir? What is it, EX? Is that how you do it? I can't even remember, like, from where. I think the way that you do this is you, like, define a change set. You do, like, I think, so my recollection of this is, like, so fuzzy, but I think it goes like this, and the users repo.update user with, like, goes like something funny. Email. It's like some other at email.edu. Right. And then you gotta like, I don't know, valid, save. My recollection of Ecto is like super wild, is like super weak. But I think at a high level, it's like create, like declare a change set as part of a repo. Like change set, like that change set is a procedural validation story, validation and typecasting story. It returns a bag attributes. Basically, I think that like this level is like very hard to express, was my recollection in Ecto, but that this change set business was pretty easy to express. Returns a bag of attributes, and then you like save the change set, commit, or like issue the update. And that's like a neat move for Ecto, and Ecto is all built about immutable, like constant state, and like nothing, like Ecto and like Elixir in general, it's like Erlang land, and everything is immutable and dynamically typed and compiled in a tricky way, where this does kind of make sense, right? And so like you build a change set as basically a procedure, or I mean it's all immutable, so it's a function, And this function is going to take a bag of attributes and an initial user record and like validate the attributes and typecast them into the user record and return the changes that need to be made. And then you can just like commit that thing. It's like a cute strategy. It's like the opposite of what would feel like J to me. Where I think this looks like J syntax, right? I think we want it to be like pretty procedural looking and pretty like honestly like dumb looking. So okay, let's like talk about like some strategies that we might do. I don't know if it makes any sense at all in J to support a syntax like this build, although maybe. But let's just like spitball a little maybe. So we'll do like user gets users repo dot find that, or like we could probably even do like first where I don't know, like with email. Right? We could like declare that. We could say with email.arg0 gets what, somebody at somewhere.org. And then first with email, which first here doesn't exist, but it would be very easy to build. It looks a lot like find. Okay, so we've got our email, and then trivially, I feel like user email gets, and then what do we want to change it to here? Some other at email.edu. And then like users repo.save user. This seems good to me. This seems like what we want. Okay, but right, the same way that we have like preload on like user, like I don't know what, we'd have to go like this. That doesn't work. Okay, so if we think about like preloads, we can do like, so if we grab this and then we do user.all, and then I don't know, user has many to-dos. Yeah. So now we're preloading this association, and like we have the user dot like to-dos. I don't know, like exists yields the to-dos from the DB. So like with this, like I don't know, should we be able to like add, or like should we try like build, right? We could do like this works. So okay, here we go. To do like built to do. Let's say we have a user. Should we be able to like build user has many to-dos on this user? And like this syntax, boy, I don't know. Who knows about the syntax? But like, does this make sense? And should we be able to then, we like have this to do, like what is this? This seems valid, right? And now we have like a to do. Which is gonna be like, it'll have its user ID set. Right, but it'll just be like an empty to do. That seems cool, right? Like to do dot, what do I want to call it here? What did I do? Just to like replicate this behavior, right? Call it like completed to do. Oops. This seems pretty valid. And that seems pretty valid. And like to-dos repo would inspect the to-do, see that it has no ID. It would just issue a create. Like, this all seems like pretty manageable. Okay, but then what about like the actual tricky case here is like user gets like right, we're just constructing a brand new user, right? User.email gets this thing that we said up here. We'll call it like somebody at somewhere.org. And now, like, what in the world could this possibly mean? Like, 'cause critically, what this build says is like to do, like this returns like a to-do dot user equals user dot ID, right? This is like the most important thing about this. Where am I? I confuse myself. Like here, like this is the critical part here. What, like how are these associated? Like, and then what happens here? So this means like insert into to-dos values like user ID description. But like we know these values, right? And we know these things, and we know the user ID because the user has already been persisted. But here, if the user is unpersisted, like we have like an inverse, right? Do we do like a preloaded to do belongs to user on here with a user is like that, and like then like nothing else is set here. And then in the save, do we like insert into, do we like do a users repo.save on user if user is unpersisted? Maybe? That sounds like chaos to me. I need to take a bio break. I will be back very soon. All right. Where were we? Just me alone here. Okay, let's think through some syntax. Like, so this is like manageable, but would be pretty brutal. There's also dirty attributes tracking, which is going to be tough. Right, so like if user, let's say like users repo dot find something. Okay, so, and if down here, if we're saying like user gets users repo dot find user ID, and then we say like user dot email gets like some new email. And then like users repo dot save user. Like, how do we just update the email? Which seems useful. So, some options are, like one thing I've been considering is, like, so currently, like this returns like a user struct, right? I think this is basically all that's like on the user. But what if instead we return some like user result on like initial values? And then like updated current value. It's like we could try this out, right? And then we could assert or just hope or know that it would be like a bug for users to mess with this initial value. And then here we could just like diff initial value against current value for each field that changed. Insert it into an update, or like make it part of the update. Like that could totally work. It means we're like duplicating the amount that we're like managing, duplicating the amount of work that we're having everywhere, of the amount of data that we're storing everywhere. We might like, so the fact that this language has mutable strings makes this a little bit more fraught, because it's easy to say that like if we only had immutable strings and if like each field were only composed of immutable data, then we could have this only point to like the pointers to the initial values of each, which would make this a little bit of a thicker object, but in like a bounded way based on the number of fields. But that seems like a bad idea here. Like I think we need like fully 2 copies of every single thing, which means like, man, I don't know, if we're like editing stuff this way, it does double the memory footprint of every single record we ever return from a repo. Because every single time we're like pulling out both the initial value and the current value always. Because it's easy to imagine that like, you know, I mean, maybe we would want to not support this, but it would be ridiculously surprising if we did like users with to-dos, I don't know. Like this is like kind of a wild thing to imagine, but if we're doing like I don't know, preload on nested preloader, user has many to-dos, and we need to nest inside that. To do has many taggings, and tagging belongs to tag. We want to run this whole thing on users repo.find or dot like whatever all. And we want to like find every, I don't know, where, whatever, like something. And then we want to say, like, for this universe of users, we want to say, like, for users with to-dos and tags, let's do this, right? So we'll say updated tags gets a, like that. Right, but then this is gonna have to be like, this is gonna get weird, right? Maybe like tags repo.record or something. Okay, but so for user, for to-do, user.todos, for tagging, no, for tagging, to-do.taggings, tag gets tagging.tag, updated tags. We would like array add to this. And then like let's not worry about duplication here. Let's say like tag.description gets okay, like for whatever reason we want to like prefix the user's ID for every user who can visit this tag. This is like I can't think of why anyone would want this, but then here we probably want to say tags repo dot update all. Let's say save all updated tags. Yeah, or maybe we just like for updated tags tags repo dot save it. Yeah. And in this case, like we'd really want, okay, I think I was getting at that from like up here, right, where we're like tracking dirty values. In that case, then we'd really need, like, I guess this type with these question marks is like the weird part here, right? It means that like everything returned from all this nested preloader business, from the composed preloader business, from everything everywhere, always is going to need to be this like tricky new record type with like initial values and current values and yeah. And if we did like tag.user gets user, right, like this doesn't touch an actual database column. How do we handle this? And this all, I think, for me, is beginning to come down to, like, this seems really rough. I don't love all that. And I think I find myself really wanting to just, like, punt on the whole concept of dirty attribute tracking for now. Like, maybe we punt on dirty attribute tracking for now. Okay, because they're like, we have too many problems to solve to try to be like tricky and terse and minimal with this, I guess, like one thing. We got like enough happening already. Okay. So what else might we do? I am beginning to think, like, I don't know, all this stuff, I'm like, I want to do updates. I want to do mutations. I think that the create syntax seems cool. And then the update syntax, I'm pretty comfortable with it just being indistinguishable, you know? the update syntax here is just going to be yeah, like this is good, right? Let's not worry about this. I think I like it. What about validation though? So like my perception of effective validation code is like as declarative as you can have it. All right, let's like talk briefly. So like Ruby ActiveRecord is gonna look like this. I don't know, class user gets ActiveRecord base. Or like application record base usually. Yeah. And you go like has many to-dos. But that's not the important part. The important part here is like validates email presence, true matches, like well, what is it? Is it like this plus at like it's like something like this? Uniqueness true. Yeah. Validates. And like I don't know, that's like the only validation on user maybe. And like to do. Like you wanna like validates user presence true, validates description presence true. Like it's like stuff like this, right? And then you can even do like a validate something tricky, and you can do like I don't know, be like user.todos.whatever dot blah blah blah. Errors to add tricky thing must be true. Right, and you can like do stuff like this, right? And then each of these validate blocks gets called before any mutations, and they must return true. Otherwise, we return like issues, right? And so like here, if you do like user.new.valid, this will return like false. And then like user errors is going to return like ActiveRecord errors instance with like a hash basically that goes from like attribute name that has a mistake, and so this case would be email, has like a bag of errors associated with it, and it's going to be like, you know, must be present, must match like the email pattern. Uniqueness probably held, so this is probably not an issue. And then also we added this something tricky, right? So like tricky thing must be true. And we like get all this data back. And it's like essential that we get all this data back this way. Because then you can like render like on a HTML form or whatever, like the email field has issues and these are those issues, and it's like great. And so it's really valuable that we don't like concretely these are declared in a way that they can all be run, and they can all either like add their like problems to this errors bag or not, right? It just continue. And it's like super valid, super valuable. The Ecto story is like with validating a change set is like comparable, close enough. You can like squint, and they're pretty similar, but its API is like different. It's like this. Like, I don't even know. Maybe I'll just like pull up one of those. Where's my? What happened to my? I had a browser window in this area, but I lost it. you get this like funny business here. Yeah, where you like, I'll just like dump this in for now. Nope. Yeah. I wonder. I thought it was .ex. Is it not? Whatever. This is the wrong window. This is the right window. Yeah, but you'll like this is like an Ecto change set, and you'll declare each of these. These are all validations. There's like a typecast and validation for everything, and then this will return to you an extremely similar object to like the Ruby one, where it'll like validate required on name and email, and then it'll give you like a name error and an email error if either one is not present. Validate format similarly, right? And like critically, each of these like looks at the bag of attributes on the user, and then returns a user with like validation errors. And this one just like adds the previous validation errors if email is both absent and formatted incorrectly, which is like a guarantee. Similarly, like if the age is not between these numbers, right, you like add age to the validations which have failed. That all sounds like really like valuable stuff. Okay. So then like what is a, maybe I'll check out like if there's like a Go ORM too. That seems useful because Go is like closer to what we've got. I don't know. Go ORM. Go ORM. Benchmark performance. GORM. How do you get like V2 moved to here? Getting started. GORM guides. I'm almost there. Oh wow, what a feature roadmap they've like laid out here. So here, I think I just want. There's like update. I'm surprised there's no like validation. Does it not do validation? It gives you hooks. Gives you batch updates. Huh. Are there no... I'm surprised. It's got associations but no validating. That's interesting. Maybe I should have read this first though, right? How do you do much without, like validation, huh? Like what if your database constraints are not sufficient for like every little thing you want to do? I'm pretty surprised. Constraints? Those like database constraints. Yeah, it's like, no, just doing it in the database, dummy. Curious. Well, that's fun. Is there a Go GORM? That's got one thing, right? Yeah, okay, well. Not gonna be like Go ORM. I don't know. There must be something. What was I gonna hope for? What is like the result of create? It's gonna return result. Result.error. Result.rows affected. Yeah. Let's look at db.create maybe. Wow, this sure is a slow website. Huh. Well, cool. The short answer I think I'm pretty happy with here, where like db.create is going to return a result. It's going to mutate the user, set the ID, return whether there was an error or not. That's, I get it. It's cool. Okay. Create in batches. Update db.save user. Okay. I don't think this is actually loading. I give up. I think it's like close enough. What can you do? Just try one more time. Alright, we made it. Maybe package.go.dev is on Heroku or something. Needed to get loaded. Need to get turned back on again. They're on hobby tier. Okay, but if I do a create here, it returns nothing. Really? Doesn't like result? Okay, get out of here. I want functions. Stop jumping me around all over the place. That's all. Wow, I really don't know how to use Go. Let's look at save. Let's look at save. What does save do? Where do return values go? Save has no return value. Return tracks and .create sometimes. Well, but this is inside of a something. Okay. Wow. This is noisy. But let's look at create. Oh boy. Okay. That is not real helpful. I could just punt on validation. That's one story. I could say, right, you could do like users repo gets run repo users user, and then like bam, it validates presence of, I don't know, you could just go wild, right? Validates like it, or I don't know, this could be like a, depending on how we insert this code, right? Validates, we could have like a context that we're running this within that makes sense here, and just say like validates name, email, presence, true, right? Like we could just like copy a lot of the Rails stuff, right? Matches, equals, and like some regular expression, which I don't know how easy it is to represent that in J right now, but like that's fine, right? And then like this is like some like inserted macro, which is aware of the records type. Like email is like inserted into the validation. This is a headache to think about the bindings, but like this could totally work. And then this like validates macro could be aware of some like broader context of some like errors, right? Where like perhaps like errors is like right, we could here say like if not tricky thing, like it, we could like add error tricky. tricky thing, whatever I said, like, must be true. You know, and I don't know, this probably wants to be like user. Maybe I would make it who knows. Right, and it's easy to say that like this would be like a series of mutations that follow a similar pattern to these validations from like a change set in Ecto, where here we would just like describe like this validation is going to mutate some like errors bag, and we could just add our own errors to it. I think that if we wanted to define these as like external procedures, like validate, pretty tricky thing. Like this is going to be hard because like we need to pass like user and errors to it. It's not the end of the world. We could also do like validate, tricky thing must be true. And like you know, this could be fine too. Yeah, okay, okay. I feel fine about saying that we can figure out a good validation story like this that gets built into a repo, and it's going to be all right. This feels fine. And so then like an update or a save or a create operation is going to handle these things. Life is fine. We'll have this code block that we pass through. It's a little bit more static, but it's like realistic. It seems reasonable. All right. All right. Yeah, let's build like a save method, huh? Or a save procedure. That sounds great. I'm going to build a save procedure. Okay, we're doing database mutations. That's what we're doing. Repo.save. And this is like way too big. So we got save. We're gonna need like for new records. Repo.save for existing records. Let's call this for like inserts. Updates. And then there's like mutations, like validations, mutations on, or whatever, like inserts on. This is like what if an associate, what if like half of an association has been saved? Okay, cool. Let's try it. So we have very little in here right now. What am I doing here? I just need this record. And it's going to return just like a success probably. I bet we'll want like an error at some point, but like we'll get there when we get there. Yeah, and then you know, I think I want to like break these out a little bit, right? So let's call like repo find. I don't know. Oh dang. This, I don't want to say like bake arguments on repo find capital R repo. Is this it? How does bake arguments work? Yeah, like this. You like specify this, and that's defined there. Okay, cool. Great. all is going to be bake arguments of repo all with repo gets repo. And I'm going to have to do a similar behavior here. Repo all repo type. And then we have like a where, yeah. Pointer to a baked where equals null repo dot select repo dot select dot record. Cool. And I'm just gonna grab this. Wait. Oh, I see what I did here. Okay, get this out of here. Oh my gosh. I'm pressing every key on the keyboard except for the one that I want to press. Okay. Why is the spacing all off here? That needs to go there. These. And that. Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah. Okay, and then let's talk about repo save. I feel like this is going to be complicated because like the actual record that we're trying to save might be the repo select type, but also might be interestingly, wait, why is it like, why am I not using this? Is curious to me. Shouldn't this just be that? Yeah, why am I wrapping things up in this unnecessary way? Get that out of here. Don't need that. Okay, just that one. Great. Repo.record. This is gonna be weird. We'll start here, and it's not gonna be ideal forever. Okay, and it has to be a pointer because we're gonna mutate the record underlying, and yeah, life is good. Okay. We'll just always fail for now. And here we'll say save is going to be a bake arguments with repo save on repo gets repo. Okay. Does this seem like at all plausible? I think it does. I think it does. Okay. So if maybe it's time to write a spec. I feel like this should build, but like do nothing right now. Uh-oh. Line 65. Extra curly brace. Prematurely ending the file. Oh, what even? Okay, what have I done here? Repo all. We do the execute. Great. I just copy pasted this in twice somehow. Okay, this seems fine. Where am I? Oh man, what am I doing with this like pointer in the wrong place? This is not C. Okay, what's happening here? Oh yeah, I gotta change some casing, huh? Okay, that all works. This has gotta be lowercase r. Where else do I have capital R repo? Nowhere. Okay, this is gonna have to be repo dot, and what else do I need? Anything else? Oh, cool. Cool. We're good. We're still going. Great. Repo save. Sorry, a spec for it, yeah? I have no repo spec. That seems like a oversight. Okay, describe. Alright, so one thing I remembered like a bit ago is, I think it was in here? No, it was in a spec. Some of these, I think I put these in like the wrong spots. If I have multiple its, so I have like 2 its. Where even is this one defined? Is this inside of another it? Oof. That was sloppy. Is this one like deleting enough? Whatever. There's some spots where I'm not clearing out the database exactly how I think I should. I hope to not recreate that issue here. Noisy out there. Alright, let's describe save. And what do I want to do? Okay, users repo is getting repo users user. Gotta define some user struct. It's got an ID. It's got an email. I don't think I care. I don't think we care about the other 2 fields on the table. Great. Okay. So now what I want to do is describe save. Let's describe with an unpersisted record. And here's where I need to grab the before all business. I want to clear out the database before and after this. Pull this out. Great, okay. It inserts the user into the database and sets the user ID. Okay. That's the English version of the spec. I want to like new user gets user, new user.email gets like something. I want to expect new user.id to equal 0. I want to do users repo save new user with a pointer. Save result gets that. I want to expect save result to be true. And then I want to expect new user.id not to equal 1. I wonder if it's time for like a not matcher. Maybe it's time for just like a not. Yeah. Is this syntax? Is this allowed? I bet that won't work, right? Alright, we'll do that. And then I want to say matches for value. Anything really. Not matcher. I have a not matcher of some other arbitrary type T. Return not matches value not matcher dot matcher. Yeah, this is a little bit of a scramble, but not to equal 1. I don't know, is that syntax? Not equal 0, really. Okay, we want the ID to have changed. Great, let's see what happens. Everything falls apart. Not matcher, struct $T of type. Error, I forgot some stuff. Need a comma. With an unpersisted record, inserts the user into the database and sets the user ID failed. Is equal to true, got false. Is equal to not matcher 0, got 0. Wow, I feel like this might have worked. Okay, okay. Obviously my test did fail, but in like the way that I hoped it would. So let's look at the repo. Yeah, okay. So in here, I think I just want to do like a SQL insert, right? I did a bunch of work on this before. I bet it'll be fine. Okay, so we want to insert, we want to reject the ID from the insertable fields here. Dang. We're already having a bad time here. Okay, the problem that I just ran into is one that I have thought about a little bit before, but like sort of forgot about, which is that we don't have an easy way to say like. So if we were doing like TypeScript, there's like really great ways to describe this, but we struggle to say this here. Like repo.record in this, like in our case here, right, is equals like some struct with like ID and email. But to insert, like what we want for like the path that I put forth for myself for insertable fields, we want this to be like struct of just email string. We really want to like remove the ID from the struct. The ID is not helping us. So how do we get there? Like we need to do some like type algebra here, right? We need to like construct a new struct. whose fields are just the non-ID type, the non-ID fields of the record that we've passed in. Right. I thought about this before and didn't really come up with anything amazing. I think, did I save any of the code that I wrote for that? I had like a type algebra thing somewhere. I think I checked it into a branch and then moved on with my life. Well, it turns out that it's pretty hard to create like a difference type. Like what we want to be able to do, so you can like inspect, you can iterate over a type info, but the type info doesn't make it like super easy to get back to like what is the code that I would need to insert into a struct body to define this type. The type info is more, isn't quite that. It's more like here's like a high level like interpretation of that data. Maybe the right answer is to like inspect the code nodes that generated. But I bet the code nodes that we get for most of these repo declarations, right? Like if we look at like users repo, right? We like define user here. The code node that defines this is just a reference to user. And so then if we look up the code nodes that defined user, like, first of all, I don't know exactly how to navigate that syntax. But moreover, like, what if user's like more complicated than just a bag of attributes? And maybe that's like a rule, is that they've got to just be attribute bags. But I don't know, this is weird. The dog is awake. She's squeaking. It's like, what else can we do here to get just the updatable fields? Like, so a lot of what I've been doing would be like punt into the future on, for example, right, deriving this name users off of the struct username is like totally manageable and a thing that Rails does for you. And deriving the mutable fields off of the entire struct by excluding the ID is something that maybe I could write some code to do for you, but for now it's like not gonna happen. And like, I don't know, we could even like using like this might even not be so bad, right? Like this might have like exactly the same behavior. And like who knows, right? Like maybe ID int is like a default, and like you like repo even generates that code for you. But I think maybe for now I'm not gonna worry about doing anything clever to generate this, and this is just one more thing you've got to pass into repo. Can I live with that? I think, oh gosh, what have I done? What have I done? Okay, I think I can live with this. Alright, let me change the repo implementation, and I'll say we've got a record type, and we've got like mutable record type, mutable record. Yeah. Okay, and this now takes a repo.mutable record. Although, where I think this actually has to take like a record. I think this has to take a record type because we need to know if it's been persisted, which means we need to be able to set the ID on the result that came back out again. So we need it to be a record so that we can go in and set that ID type. It's just we're gonna need to like reduce it to its mutable version, right? So like the mutable record is like somehow copy. Like, we'll need to do something like this. I don't know. Mutable record. Record. And like here, what are we gonna do? Like iterate over the members of this, and yeah, this works. Insert, run, string builder, strint, defer free buffers on the string builder. I should really bundle that into a macro. Alright, and then we're gonna like generate this body based on the mutable record and record types. Right, okay, so for member and mutable record, print to builder, string builder, mutable record dot something, gets record dot it. With member.name. That's it. Okay. I don't know. This is pretty dumb, but if these types all line up well, we're fine. Okay. Maybe I'll inline this for now. Who needs that in a separate procedure? And then here I can say like if record.id is 0, then issue an insert, and otherwise issue an update. And I think that we're ready for insert now, right? SQL insert, and we can just like SQL insert returns a type. Oh no. Right, how did I do this? Repo.mutable record. Yeah. An int. Or this is like repo.id type. Yeah. So we're gonna declare an insert of that type. Maybe we'll like declare the insert up here. Of record ID type. And then what? Okay. Declare this insert, and now what? We're going to execute SQL insert on one of them. Okay, SQL insert execute on repo.table name. Insert has like what? Args? What does an insert have? Insertable fields. Gets. Ooh. Yeah, okay, so copy to mutable fields. I do want this to be extracted, but for now, I'll just throw this here. And we want to print not mutable record, but this. That, and I want for member in type info of repo.mutable record members. Do this. We're going to insert that. Then we're going to do SQL insert execute on a pointer to this insert. And what does that return? The ID and the success. And then here, I want to say record.id gets ID, return true. Alright, there's no way this works, right? Semicolon, expected, if record ID equals 0. Oh yeah, Okay, how about here? Procedure calls missing argument, mutable record. Oh yeah, okay, gotta update that everywhere. Maybe I'll say gets like... Just for now, I'll say... Okay, we'll try that. Great, procedure call is missing. Didn't I just say... Oh yeah, this should be of type with default value that. Invalid percent index 2 in the format string a character 37 in workspace. Repo J68. What did I get wrong here? Insert. Oh yeah, gotta copy this a second time. Failed. Alright, I think I need to update repo spec to pass in. Yeah, okay. Mutable user. I might even want to mess with like throwing a modify here to like reject. Oh dang. Got 0. Wonder what went wrong. Print D success. ID 0 success true. How's that possible? How do we get a 0 out? Incident to users, ID email values 0 that ID 0 success true. Oh, dang. How did ID make it in? How are we setting that? What's happening here? Did I? Yeah, I did. That should have been mutable record. Alright. SQL insert line 63. Internal compiler error got a -1 emit result, but the expression's size was non-zero. I don't know what that means. Huh. What? Hmm? What? What? Well, I'm stumped. I have no idea what this means. Huh. Well, that's a surprise. I have no idea what to make of this error. In workspace 4. So I think I'd figure that like this, that's what I'd want. But here, this is all wrong. Am I like seg faulting because I'm dereferencing this allocated array? Yeah, why am I newing up a bracket any? I feel like here what I probably should do is this. How does that work? Yeah, and then not that. Okay, what's happening now? Array add needs a pointer to result now. That seems closer. We still have a -1 emit result, but at least this looks more like coherent. It seems less memory leaky. Trying to dereference pointer into the heap. Alright. Well, still not great. Is it the word insert the problem? Means too many different kinds of things? It's like a lowercase I. But that was working just fine before. And it works fine in like tests and stuff. Like what? Print copy to mutable records. Builder to string. Oh, it's like pretty much always empty, huh? I guess that makes sense. One time we have a created edit and updated app. That's like users repo, capital U. And then this time we just set the email. What's going wrong here? That seems like what we'd want. I don't know. Yeah, it's always .sql insert. Insert .mutable, insertable. Inserting an empty mutable record, inserting mutable user fields. You can call this like test. Mutable user fields. This all seems pretty normal to me. What could possibly be going wrong here? Oh, this is demoralizing. It's like this is like a compiler bug. It's like coming out like a compiler error. Does it want a pointer? And I'm giving it a real thing? This is a pointer. And it wants a pointer to this type. Should I go like... Does that help? That's definitely made it farther. Huh. Well, that's a bizarre error to have received. Huh. What should happen here? I wonder if I just go like this, and life is better. Do I have a $T anywhere here? No. Okay, cool. Then, does this work now? Yeah? Alright. Cool. Alright, well, I think I figured it out, that, like, this pointer was, like, weirdly halfway coerced. Alright, let's, like, there's, like, a new thing I want to throw in here. It's, like, 0, 8 now, yeah? 0, 8. Confusing, almost compatible pointer types. .j. And it was, like, what even happened here is, like, container type struct of using contained like this, and like that contained type value string, and it was like I don't even know. Procedure consuming a pointer gets contained like that, and then I just want to like return, maybe I'll have it like return string, return value. Container contained Does it import? Does it include? Dang, it works here? Huh. I wonder why it didn't work in my case. Maybe if there's like a generic here? What? Oh, yeah. That didn't do it. What was it about this that gave us real problems? I don't know. Maybe I have to throw like this on here? No, that didn't do it. No, but this wants to be of type container type of T. No, it wants to just be contained. What is going wrong here? How are these different? This is container type, this is contained type. What? Well, now I'm really confusing myself. Contained type. This takes a pointer. Oh, I know. The pointer. That's what's missing. Alright, pointer T. This wants to be contained type again. Concrete container types. How'd that get there? Procedure. Consuming a pointer. It's just called procedure now. How does this work? But my thing didn't. And moreover, how does this thing work at all? What? How? Okay, I can't repo. In SQL insert error message was. Alright, what did I change here? I called this with what even did I change here? Did I change anything here? That is what I changed. It had been a pointer to an insertable fields. Oh, what? Let me copy this diff. Oh boy. Oh boy, get out of here. Let me revert this change. Try running my workspace again. Here. From this. To that. Just tracking down this bug, seeing if I can repro. Don't think I can, but I documented my situation. I'm going to take another quick bio break. Be back in like 1 minute. All right. Okay. Can't figure out how to repro that thing. Can't figure out what exactly caused this issue. But I think my specs are passing. Oh, hey, Rectum. How's it going? I'm going to clear out some of these print statements that I introduced and call it for a bit. Alright, what did I throw in? Yeah, that's nothing. Keep this around. I don't know, where did I print? Get that out of here. Get that out of here. This all looks pretty normal. Then in SQL insert, I'm also printing. I want to stop that and that. Get that out of here. Okay, cool. All right. Let's Been a weird day so far. I tripped over a very confusing error message and then somehow fixed it, but now I can't repro it or figure out why. So I'm just taking it as a win. Okay, so and what have I done? I added a spec that we've like inserted some user. We got true as a result. I think I should select the user back out again. Make sure that we get that user now. Yeah, okay, let's go found user, gets users repo, find new user.id, and then expect found user dot email to equal the one that we configured, which is this. And if that happened, then life is probably good. So far so good. I feel like I have so little trust in my test runner that like every time every time I run a test that it succeeds, I find myself compelled to like log some results so I can like see it with my own eyes. All right, great. All right, Rectum, you joined at an unfortunate moment because I have an appointment in like 5 minutes. But I'll probably be back on afterwards. It'll be like an hour, hour and a half. Okay, so repo.save for new records. It was an exciting day though. I did let me push. Like I added this new feature. You can like save records to the database now. It's like pretty verbose, right? Like I haven't written anything in J that's aware of like doing any kind of like type algebra. So like you need to describe separately, like for a table, like what does one record look like and what are the parts of that that are like mutable to you, which means basically like not the ID. And then like specify both those when you're defining like the repository for that thing. But then you can like save stuff. You can like construct a user record this way and like save it. We'll copy it over to one of these like mutable things. Yeah, it was a pretty fun day. But yes, get offline. I'm almost certainly going to be back on later though. I hope to see you then. Okay, bye.